Hello aspiring developers. Today we are going to learn about operators in JavaScript. We're going to learn about comparison operators, arithmetic operators, logical operators, and the most important one, which is assignment operators. So get ready and let's dive in the JavaScript operators session using the kitchen analogy.
Okay, so operators are symbols or keywords that in the JavaScript language perform certain functions. So let's start with the assignment operator. I believe you can see my readme here. So assignment operator, which is denoted by the equal sign, is used to assign a value to a variable. So we've been dealing with variables, we've been dealing with data types, and we've been using this equal sign. So now I want to tell you this equal sign is an operator in Java. And when the JavaScript engine sees it, then it knows that you're assigning the left side of the equal sign is the variable, the variable name, then the right side of the equal sign is the value that you're assigning to that variable. And that's it on the assignment operator. So let's move on to the next operators, where we have the arithmetic operators. So arithmetic operators, just from the term arithmetic stands for mathematical functions. So the basic math that you can perform on a piece of paper, we're trying to bring it to JavaScript, and now we are going to show you how to do arithmetic operations using JavaScript. So for you to do arithmetic operators, you have to use the first of all, there are several, like the addition, the subtraction, the multiplication. In JavaScript we use asterisk for multiplication. For division we use the backslash, and we have this special division called symbol called the modulus for the remainder, outputting the remainder of the operation that you just done. So let's get ahead, start with the addition operator. So you can say let's we're going to use food as our point of view today, so you can understand arithmetic operators. So you can say let's do equals, I don't know if that is da or do, equals maybe say 10 plus 10. So when you log do to the console, you're going to see that you're going to see the value of this incrementing, or rather the addition operator. So let me just open up my console so you can see this in action. So as we said earlier, you want to run a JavaScript code, you just use node and then the file name. So first let me cd into the directory where that file is. And then I cd into the directory, which is in 02. Sorry, operators. Let me create space. So you said just tap on node and then the file name. My file name in this case is script.js. So script.js. So now you see that 20 has been logged on to our console. I believe by now you understand the meaning of console. So you can say, or you can just say let da equals 10. Then you say let milk equals 5. So for we can also define maybe what else, can use source. So let source equals, maybe you can say source is 20, and we can also say let sugar equals 10. What else can we add to all this? We can say let salt equals, we can say 4, or rather, we can say equals 6.
So we save all that. Remember to have semicolons after when denoting the work. So now back to the first operator here, arithmetic operator. You can use addition. So you can say not let now. You just take the, you need to mix this to create some cake. So you'll see the plus milk. So this plus operator is used to add the value of the and the value of milk. And you can assign all that to a variable. So let's say let mixture equals daf plus milk. And here we can output the mixture. Sorry. Okay, so now when you run this code, you're going to get 15, of which it takes 10 and adds it to milk, which is 5. So now if you want to say, maybe you now want to also add sugar and say plus sugar. So you can add as many variables as you need. And let's say plus sauce. Hope that will make a sweet cake. So when you run that, you get 45. And this 45 is the value of 10 plus 5, giving us 15. Then plus this 10, giving us 25. And then plus this 20, giving us 45. So that's it about the addition operator. So now you feel that the mixture is too strong, and maybe you want to reduce some. You want to reduce some sugar. You want to reduce sugar, so you say mixture equals mixture minus sugar. So here you see that our sugar was 10 and our mixture at this point is 45. So you say, when you say mixture equals mixture minus sugar, it will now take 45 minus the sugar, which is 10, and it will output for us 35. So that's about subtraction. This basic math, I believe it's simple, it's easy to understand. Also, you can say you now need to divide, you need to take this mixture and you multiply the value of given the mixture. And say you need to make make paste. So you say let paste equals, for you to make paste, maybe you need milk and you need two pins, 2 cups of milk. You say milk times 2. And then you can now log this value of paste in the console. So you say console.log paste. I believe it's still to remember what console is. The word console.log means an output statement in JavaScript. So now when you run this not script.js, you're going to see that okay, let's comment one of them so that we only have one. And add some explanatory statements there. Yeah, so you say node script.js to execute just this JavaScript file. And so you see our paste is 10. And 10 is 5, which is milk, multiplied by 2. So we said this symbol here is for multiplication in JavaScript. So we also have the division. So you can say paste equals to paste. Then you say divide by. You need to divide maybe by 3. So you realize that when you have 10 liters of milk, it's too much. So you want to divide it by, say, 3. First, you can say divide it by 2. I want us to have a solid, or rather a whole number function as the answer. So when you divide paste by 2, you're going to get 5. So the division operator here is this / symbol. But now you also might think that you only want the remainder of what, let's say you take paste
This time let's use the check door, and you only need maybe what remains after you divide it into 3 portions. So you need the remainder once you divide it into 3 portions, and here we can log that to the console. So once you log this to the console, let's first comment this. Let's only log one thing to the console, and here we are logging the new value of the. So the door here is that. So you can when you run this script, you realize that we have door as 1. So when you take 10 and you divide it by 3, we're going to get 3 and the remainder is 1. Because 3 by 3 is 9, then it gets 1 as the remainder. So let's say you now want to know the amount of something that remains after you divide by a certain value. So if you divide your maybe 10 kg of that into 3 portions and you want to know the remaining DAF that you're having, then you just use the modular operator, which is this percentage sign to get the remainder. So you can see here our remainder of that is 1. And so that's it about the arithmetic operators. Maybe I can just add a few like the exponential. It is a bit complex. And you can say here, let's sugar. No, sugar has already been defined. So let's just say sugar is equals, we want to give it a new form. And we need the exponential of 2. Or rather, the power of 2. So here let's put sugar this time. Now I want to see the new value of sugar. Sugar. Let's run this in our console so you can see about it. So you see that sugar is 100. And as I said, this one is just raising something to the power of this. This is the exponential value. You take this value and multiply it by you raise it to the power of whatever power you give it. So to the power of 2 means that the power of 3 means that you find the cube of that. So it will give us 1,000. So it will take this value, multiply it by itself 3 times. So when I run that, you're going to see that sugar is now 1,000. So this is used to get this value that you pass in, and you multiply it by the number of times that you say here. So like you say you want milk to be 25, then here you can say is equals to milk, and you raise it to the power of 5, or you multiply milk 5 times. So when you run that JavaScript code, you see that milk raised to the power, when you, we are calling it sugar, milk. Milk. So when you run this code, you see that milk is now 31.25. And notice this that it multiplies this value this number of times. So it's the same as saying you take milk, which is 5, multiply by milk, which is 5, multiply by milk, which is 5, and you multiply again by milk, which is 5. And finally, you multiply this how many times? 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the last one. So, yeah. So it is the same as saying 5 times 5 times 12. Let me just try out my calculator so you can see it. Let me just small here. So 5 times 5 times 5 times 5 then times the 5 is equal 31.25. So this is the value that you're having here. The milk value that you're already having there is 31.25, and that is what is exponential that multiplies this value that you're passing this number of times. Multiplies by itself this number of times. So I believe that's it on arithmetic operators. You can see that these are used to perform arithmetic for these numbers. So that is the basic mathematics operation. So now let's go to comparison operators. I believe that's it for the arithmetic operators. The more you practice this, the more you set your knowledge in them. So let's move to comparison operators. Comparison operators. Yeah. So now in comparison operators, just from the word compare, they used to compare the value of two. They used to compare two values or the value of two things maybe. So an example here we already have this variable that we already declared up here. So we have the da, we have the milk, we have fruits, we have sugar, and we have punch. We've done some modifications, so let's just comment out this modification for now, so that we can deal with this easily. So now comparison operators. Examples of comparison operators. Here we have values, symbols like greater than. So I want to check whether something is greater than, or whether something is less than, or whether something is greater than or equal to, or less than or equal to. Comparison, you may also want to test whether something is equal to, or whether something is not equal to. So we have these ones as the symbols for the operators that we are talking about right now. So let's straight ahead go and test these operators. You see you have the at 10, assume kg for all these values. This is 10 kg, this is 5 kg, this is 12 kg, 10 kg, and 6 kg. So now we want to compare whether DAF, let's just console.log, and you want to compare whether DAF or DO is greater than me. So if you want to compare whether DO is greater than me, you just use the greater than operator, and then you run this JavaScript file. So you see that the value that is outputted there is true. You are testing between two values, so you expect the answer to be true or false. So if DAF is truly greater than milk, so DA here is 10 and milk here is 5. So if 10 is greater than 5, then you're going to be told that that value is true. Let's try and invert this operator to be less than. So if DAF is less than milk, so let's run this script. And you see that the value that is output to the console is false. So if the tested value is not true, it will output false to the console. So here DA is 10, and you see that 10 is greater than 5. So when you use 10 less than 5, that is not true, so it will output false to. Let's also test on greater than or equal to. Just copy and paste this second and after time. So we can have all this here. Yeah. So now let's test whether something is greater than or equal to. This time we're going to test the and sugar. So is the greater than sugar? So let's run this script. We're testing whether the is greater than sugar. So you see the answer is false. How much do we have? We have 10 kg and we have 10 kg for sugar. Okay. So now we want to test whether it's greater than sugar. Outputs false. But if you test whether it's greater than or equal to sugar, because when you're trying to make a recipe and you're told that the data should either be greater than or equal to the sugar. So you test whether your data and sugar are equal or if data is greater than sugar. So when you run this script, you find true, and this will allow you to proceed with preparing your recipe. Then you can also test for, just as you test for less than, for greater than, you can also test for less than. So less than, you just use this left arrow, kind of a left arrow. I believe it's shift and the third key below, just before shift. So that is the less than or equal to equality. But here you will see that it will still output true to the console because it is equal. These values are equal. But when you say, yeah, so that is the greater of the less than or equal to operator. Now let's also test equality. So when it is whether is equal to sugar. So when you log this to the console, you expect to see true because sugar is 10 kg and sugar is 10 kg. So you run that script, you see the value itself because you're using the equality operator and this tells you that is equal to sugar. So you output the value true. Also, you may want to test for not equal. Will you test if they are equal? So you might also want to test if they are not equal. So here let's test whether sugar is not equal to salt. So in the recipe book, maybe you've been told that sugar and salt should not be equal. So when you run this script, it outputs true. So that allows you to maybe proceed with baking the cake that you're trying to bake. So it tests whether sugar and salt are not equal. So the not equal to is the exclamation mark and the equal sign. So that's the not equal to operator in JavaScript. Okay, so that comparison operator already the greater than, the less than. Then greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. So straight ahead, let's go into logic operators. And in logic operators, these are used to determine the logic between variables or values. So there is something called logic. How can I explain logic? I don't have my browser open. So this is just in okay, from the logic, we determine the logic between variables or values. Logic is whether something is true or whether something is making sense. Let me just use strictly true according to some principle. Because when you say and, first we can use and, we can use or, and the symbol for and is, let me just add here the symbol for and, the double up, and the symbol for or is the double pipe. And then there's also another logic operator, which is the not operator. So not, and this not operator is denoted by that symbol of exclamation. So I believe that using examples, so immediately let's go and get to the concept. Our recipes, receipts, our ingredients there. We just copy this and paste it below the receipt symbol page. Now we have logic operator. Okay, so now we want to test logic. And logic, like we just said, there is comparison principle between some two values. So maybe in your receipt book, you have been told that you need to add salt. You want to check whether you need both salt and sugar. So you've been told to check whether you have both salt and sugar. So when you run this, when you execute this script, you see that salt and sugar will output 10. Is this 10 the one you're seeing here? Yeah, the one that you're seeing here. So, oh, okay. Let's just continue using the Boolean values so that we can understand it. So is salt present equals true. Then we ask if is sugar present, and we say equals. And because this was not earlier defined, you can't use a variable to define it, so you must use the let keyword to define the variable. But this variable does not change, so you can feel free to use the const keyword to define it. Or rather, you can use the var keyword. So as we said, let is the most common way of defining variables in JavaScript. So here now we want to test whether salt is present, and here whether sugar is present. Yeah, so now when you run this script, you're going to see that the value is true, because we are testing whether we need salt and sugar. So if one of them is not there, let's say sugar is not present, so false. So when you run this script, you're going to see that the value is false. Why? Because this and symbol tests for strictly presence of both sugar and salt. So if one of them is not present, then the final or rather the resultant value will be false. So this will be important when maybe you have two things that you want to compare, and you want that maybe you execute some piece of code only when the two are strictly when the two are present. So you can use this to compare whether two things are present. Let me just copy this, and then I paste it here. You can also maybe introduce another variable. No, let's just use salt and sugar so that you can understand it best. So when you only want to take it, that's one. How are these called? Ingredients in the recipe that you're preparing. So you can use the double pipe or the logic or array. So this one will only check if one of them is present. So if one of them is present, it will output true. So not script.js. You see that the logic and this double ampersand will test whether both are present. If both are present, it will output true. If one of them is not present, it will output false. But the logic or also tests whether one is present. So if one is present, here we have salt present, so it will output the value true. And if sugar is present or not, it will still output true because at least there is one ingredient. So if maybe in cake baking, you must have salt and sugar, you use the double ampersand. So maybe in cookies baking, you only need either salt or sugar. You use the logic or, which is the double pipe, the double pipe operator symbol. So you can also want to maybe say you want to confirm whether something is there or not, or you want to remove the presence of a specific thing in the mixture. So you can say you can use this not operator. Say it is salt. So this one will check the value of, and if it finds salt to be present, then it will remove salt. So it will turn salt from true to false. So let's run this script and see it in action. Begin you can comment please so that you can understand the flow of these other elements. Yeah. So you run this script and you see that it's outputting false. So salt was true at first, but now this not operator or not symbol, the exclamation symbol denoting the not logic operator, it will negate any value is there. So if you have enough salt in your recipe, in your ingredients or in your ingredients, and you now want to negate now the value of salt such that when anyone tries to add any more salt, it will output false value. So here you can see that sugar is sugar present is false, meaning we don't have sugar. So now you can use this value to now input sugar, because we've said this one just outputs the opposite of what is there. If it was not there, it brings it in. If it was inside there, it takes it out. So here we see that we did not have sugar. Our sugar was false. Now this is sugar present will take. If it does not find sugar in the ingredients, it will add it to the ingredients. So let's run that. Okay. And you see that our sugar is now set to true. So that is how we use the logic or the logic and the logic not operator. I believe we can comment this out a bit so we can explain something. We have said that the symbols are the double and the symbols for the double ampersand. These double five double ampersand. The symbol for the logic and just need to add here logic. The symbol for the logic and is this double ampersand. And then the symbol for the logic or is this double pipe, and then the symbol for the logic not is this expression. Yeah, so now at least we have a good explanation of the logic and the logic or and the logic not. So here we can see that here we are testing whether x is less than 10. So in sheet 6, when you compare it to 10, then you notice that 6 is less than 10, that is 2. And it's also tested on y is 1. So that is okay. So if the first condition and the second condition, the first condition and the second condition, it will output true. Then it will also test whether then here we have the logic for that is test whether x is equal to 5. And it will also test whether 3 is equal to 3. So this will give us false value. This will give us a false value. Just like it. And this one will give true value. So not the not operator. Here we see the we are taking the giving us false. And then you so the opposite of that is so you test the x is equal to y. Is 6 equal to 3? The answer is no. So if it is no, you negate it by using the exclamation mark or the not operator to give us the true one output. That's it about the logic operator. I'm trying to bring this into space. Yeah, I need it somewhere there. Yeah, so that's it on the logic or operators. So now let's go and dive into the increment and the decrement operator. So the increment operator increases the value of a variable by 1, while the decrement operator decreases the value of a variable by 1. So now let's say here we have let, you can say let Bumbo sauce equals 0. So we console.log the value of Bumbo sauce. Okay, sorry. We console.log the value of Bumbo sauce. So when you run this script, I hope you're not console logging any other thing. Okay. And say here Bumbo sauce the value of Bumbo sauce is what we'll print the console. So let's run this script. You see that Bumbo sauce is 0 because we declared Bumbo sauce at 0. But now we are trying to use the increment operator. Let's do it. So we have the title, increment, decrement. Let's just focus on increment first. So increment operator. And save this. So the increment operator is denoted by the 2 equal sign symbol. So when you say here Bumbo sauce, we already defined this variable as 0. Now if you want to use the increment operator, we just use the 2 equal sign symbol to increment the value of Bumbo sauce. So if you now log this to the console, you see that okay. Let's first have it. Let's take it again. Yeah. Do this. Exactly. So let's do it like that so that it can be easily explainable. So here, what we're doing in line first, in line 60, we set the value of Bumbo to 0. In line 61, we output the value of the console. Then in line 64, now we use the increment operator on our Bumbo. And in line 65, we output the value of the Bumbo after the increment. So now let's run this script. So you notice that the first Bumbo source is 0, and then the Bumbo source after the increment is 1. So that is the post increment operator. And post increment operator, you simply this, you simply increment after processing the current statement. So the current statement here was Bumbo source equals to 0. And then if you output this, you get 0. And after that, now you run this statement, Bumbo source to increment the value of Bumbo source by 1. And now you get Bumbo source equals to 1. And that is the post increment operator. So now we also have the pre-increment operator. So this one increments the value before processing the current statement. So here, let's test this. You say, let's just do it right. Come here and say Bumbo source. It's now. Yes. I believe you already know what we are expecting to see on our console when you run this script. Yeah. So here you see that the value of the value of 0. But now we incremented this value and then we output it to the console, giving us the value as 1. So this one will take this value of new value of box, which is already 1, and then it will increment it by 1 to give us the value 2 here on our console. But for better understanding of with post increment and pre-increment. Let's directly use this console, directly log these values to the console without going through the hassle of writing it down. Yeah. So now let us run this script. So this is the pre-increment operator. You first increment and then you output. You notice that we are getting 1 as our value. So in a console.log increment bumble2, you get 1 as the value. So let's now check on post increment operator. So now when you run this script, you get 0 as the value because first the console will output that value, which is 0, and after it outputs the value, it will now increment it by 1. So if you come here and log to the console, the new value of boom, it will be equal to 1. So first it is 0. It first outputs the current value, which is 0, and then it increments 1 to that value. So the next time you try accessing it, you'll find it incremented by 1, as you can see in the console. But for the pre-increment, it just does that first, and then it does the increment first, then it outputs the value after increment. And that is exactly same to the decrement operator. The only difference is the increment is for addition, so the decrement is for subtraction. Let's clear the console so we can have a better view. So here you can say let our paper is just chili. So we can say let chili equals 4. Then here when you console log the value of pepper minus minus, and you log to the console the value of minus minus pepper. Let's first do them individually. So console log minus minus pepper, I believe we already, this will take the value of pepper, which is 4. Then it will minus 1 to give us 3. And that 3 is what we will see in the console. So let's run this script. We're also putting this as our commented. Not when you comment anything out, they're not being compiled by the compiler, by the JavaScript compiler. So now you can see that the value of paper is being logged to the console as 3 because you're using the pre-decrement operator. Now if you use the post-decrement operator, okay, let's comment this out. So if you use the post-decrement operator, first it will output the value to the console, which is 4, and after it does that, it will now minus 1 to that value 4. And now the next time that you try accessing paper, you'll find it to be 3. So let's just run this and see it in action. Yeah, so you see the first value of paper is 4, and then it's now decremented by 1. So the next time we try accessing paper, we find it to be 3. And you can, I believe you can guess what you're going to find when we run this start code here. What it will do to track the new value of paper, which is 3, minus 1 to it, and then output it. So here we're going to get 4, 3, then 2. Let's just run our script, test that. So you can see that we have 4. This first line means that it takes the value of paper as it is, which is 4, and it outputs it in the console as 4. Then takes the next value of paper, which is now 3, because we had the post decrement operator. So now we have the value of paper as 3. So the next time we try to check on paper, now with the pre-decrement operator, going to minus 1 to the value of paper, and then it will now output the new value to the console, of which here it is. So that is it for the decrement operator. And we can see here that the decrement operator decreases the value of the variable by 1. So we have the post decrement, which is decremented after decrement. and the decrement with the values decremented before processing the current statement. And that's it for operators. I believe now you can make a good recipe now that you already know how to go around with the values of ingredients. So in case something is a bit unclear, just rewind the video and understand it better. If not, you can reach out to us using our links in the program. Also, you can get this readme notes from our repository in the description below. If you find this video interesting, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Also, if you find any challenge or any explanation was not well clear to you, just write it down in the comments section below. I will love the family. Peace out.